Imagine being in a hospital bed, battered, broken, and barely clinging to life after an unimaginable accident. That's exactly what happened to my cousin in the 90s. But what I didn't know at the time, the real story behind his survival, is something that would haunt me for years. This isn't just about survival, it's about secrets, betrayal, and an epic twist you won't believe. Stay with me until the end, because the truth is something no one expected. It was the early 90s, and my cousin was riding his motorcycle down a familiar stretch of road when the unthinkable happened. He was struck by a train, a collision that should have ended his life. Instead, he fought back from the brink of death. But the truth about how he got there wasn't as simple as an accident. Cut to flashback of motorcycle crash with sound effects of screeching tires and a loud train horn. He survived for one reason: sheer willpower. For months, he was in and out of consciousness, recovering from the injuries. But little did I know, there was a dark, hidden story behind his near-death mouth. While my cousin fought to walk again, the doctors were amazed by his resilience. But what they didn't know was that his injuries weren't just physical. They were the result of something far darker. He was severely beaten by a gang of local tough boys. Why? Because he was gay. The world didn't know, and I didn't even know until years later. It wasn't just a random accident, it was an attack. Back in our small town, there was a group of boys, the kind of tough guys who ruled the streets. No one dared to cross them. My cousin, trying to live his truth, had been targeted by them. That night, when he was out riding, they decided to make an example of him, cut to a dark alley or abandoned street with the tough boys closing in. They didn't just beat him, they nearly took his life. But what they didn't know was that their actions would set off a chain of events that would change everything. Years went by. My cousin healed, but the scars remained. We never talked about what happened that night, not until much later when the truth came out. I was old enough to hear the real story. My aunt, in a moment of raw honesty, told me everything. The gang, the hatred, the brutality. My cousin never fully recovered from that attack. Physically, he was fine, but emotionally, he had been shattered. As time passed, the tough boys who'd hurt him were still around, but one by one, they started falling apart. You see, the reason they targeted my cousin wasn't just because he was gay. They had their own hidden secrets, and those secrets would eventually destroy them. One of them was arrested for something he thought he'd gotten away with. Another lost everything in a sudden tragic accident. And the leader of the group? He was found living a completely different life, one he'd kept hidden from everyone. In the end, my cousin became stronger than any of them could ever imagine. He turned his pain into purpose. And that's the true story. The survival, the betrayal, the redemption, and the strength that no one could have predicted. The local tough boys may have been feared in their prime, but my cousin, he became a symbol of resilience, of living authentically, no matter the cost. And as for the gang? Well, let's just say their dark pasts caught up with them in ways they never saw coming. Sometimes the greatest strength comes from surviving the unimaginable. My cousin's story isn't just about survival. It's about overcoming hate, facing down darkness, and living your truth no matter the cost. If this story moved you, hit the like button, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to